Hello all, I just want to give you a look at Primal Pictures and how I've been using it to enhance presentations or the resource guides, or maybe find some anatomical features in class if people have questions as well. We were given a username and login from Brett probably a couple years ago. So it's niampcorporate@gmail.com, and if you want the password I can send that to you. Then we just click login. And it'll take a sec, all depending on your internet speed. But then you'll log in and you'll be brought to a home screen. There's a lot of different resources here that you can look through, which are pretty helpful. But I hang around this area mostly. I either use the 3D Atlas or the 3D Real-Time Atlas. The 3D Real-Time Atlas that I use, I've found very helpful. For example, if I went to the Real-Time Atlas for the head and neck, so Primal will take some time loading everything up, and it gives you instructions on how to use keyboard shortcuts and other different features about clicking on structures and how to use it. After you've taken a look at this, then you can just hit start. Sometimes there's a delay. So what I did is there's a bar on this side which will give different features. For example, this stars is my favorite one. So basically I've manipulated the pictures enough to come up with some favorites. One of them are the suboccipital muscles, common one that we're going to use in level 1/level 2. So that'll bring me there, and then I can either, while I'm lecturing in the class, bring that up there so people can have a good three-dimensional image of it. Or if I want to take a picture of it, I can click here, type in suboccipitals, etc., and hit OK, and it will save a picture for me. And it asks me, do I want to download the image, and I'll say yes. And it says, do you want to open it or save the file? You can do either. If you save the file, though, what it automatically does is goes to your default browser, and it will, if you're in Firefox, download it into your folder. So sometimes instead you might want to just open it. But if you download it and open it, this is what it'll do, and it'll put a copyright picture down there. So you can put this into your manuals, which will make life easier for you. So I'm not going to go over all the features here, but there's a lot of different features. You can find different structures on the side if you're looking at different connective tissues, if you're looking at different nerves or ligaments. So if we want to find ligaments of the head and neck, and we want to find the alar ligament, we can actually double click and it'll take us right to where the alar ligament is, which sometimes is a little bit annoying if you double click on it. As far as looking at the left and the right, you'd have to peel structures away in order to find it better. But you can find all these different ligaments that you want so that you can show them. And then you can just hit the back button to get back to where you were before, which is always nice. You hit that and it takes you back. So that's the 3D module, and you can play around with it and take pictures. You can also, if you don't like the line up, how it's lined up, you can use the keyboard or different ways to turn it, left or right. So there's a lot of different ways to shift or manipulate the image. I'm going to get out of that, and I'm going to go to the 3D Atlas, because this is a really neat feature as well. So if I go to the 3D Atlas, what this will do is it'll load up different aspects, and you can listen to a tutorial on how to get started on how to use basic controls if you want. The Atlas is much like the earlier versions that we used, probably about 10, 12 years ago, or maybe even longer. So what you'll have is you'll have the anatomy, it'll show MRIs, it'll show slides, and it'll show movies. So what you'll do in the slides, see right here where it's the neurovascular aspects of the spinal cord. So we can have all of this. This is core material. This is actually a nice slide. if you see a slide that you want to use, then you can hit the little save button on the bottom here, and it'll save the slide. Instead of saving the file and having it download, we'll open it with whatever photo program we want. So mine defaults to this photo program, and it puts the little copyright sign on there, and I'm ready to take this and put it into my manual or put it into my presentation. So it opens it up, and I can just save the file to my computer. So I can save it, and I can, say it's the, oops, actually had everything. Neurovascular of the cervical spine. I don't want that in my ankle module, so I'll just go back and put it into my cervical level 1, C516. And then I can create pictures there if I want. Surprised I don't already have one. And then just save it there. There are a ton of different resources here as you're looking at that. We can go to anatomy slides, to the cardiovascular system, and it'll show different slides of different areas. It will have cross-sectional images as well in the axial skeleton. So I can go to the axial section. I can go to an axial section of the lumbar spine. And you can point out different structures as you go through. So, the slides that we have access to are numerous. One of the slides that I like outside of that are the clinical slides. So we can look at, for example, the different classifications, the Allen and Ferguson classifications. We can look at ankylosing spondylitis. We can look at anterior cord lesions and what happens. They have MRIs. They have different clinical photographs, neuromuscular scoliosis. So they have all these different images that we have access to. And that's a different curve with Cobb angle. So they have clinical slides that we can go through, and I haven't gone through them all. There's dissection slides. We want the anterior thoracic, and they're all dynamic. So if I want to know where the 5th rib is, or the 4th rib, or the radiate ligaments, 6th rib, dorsal rami, all of them. As far as the movies, that's a less than excellent movie. I always have found the movies aren't as exciting as the other aspects, but for the knee, there are some good movies as far as ACL, PCL, etc. And again, there's cervical sections for CT scans, so then we can find out what we want to see as far as where all the different structures are. But I like the MRI one because when you're using the MRI and you can point out structures on the MRI, it'll point them out here as well. So we can use that as a teaching tool. So in addition to just doing the regular anatomy, we can find different structures, and there's always a save button somewhere where we can save the images for us to use. So that's just my quick tutorial on using Primal Pictures. Ask me any questions that you'd like.